I'm Matt Bergman, and you were listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 282. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman,
What up?
Kyle Wagner,
Hey guys.
James motherfucking Babs,
Hello.
and Dan, Taxation is Theft, Behrman.
Yo.
Dan is running for, Dan is trying to go for the Libertarian Party's presidential nomination. And
You are a glutton for punishment, sir.
Yeah.
dude, like Dan Behrman. I gotta say, dude, I was hoping you would wear the Merlin hat, dude.
The closest I got is like this one. If you want to, it turns into almost like a poke.
Yeah, the other hat's cool. I was just kind of fucking with you a little bit, but but yeah,
I love the messaging, Dan. I love it.
Thank you.
I think it's just a perfect thing to lead with for a libertarian candidate. Gets right to the heart of things, and it seems to be working out for you.
Yeah. There is I can't do it here, but there's like a Facebook filter that'll put the hat on.
No way.
I just can't run it into Zoom.
That's awesome.
So
Right. Plus, we can help the CIA perfect their facial recognition software while wearing a taxation is theft hat. That sounds awesome.
Two
Right.
birds, one stone.
So Dan,
want that.
you're in Cancun right now, right?
I am a little bit south of Cancun, but yeah, same area.
So like, what are you doing in Cancun?
Hanging out, working, going to the beach, having margaritas.
Cool. So it sounds like good times, dude.
Is everything open down there?
No, it's there's it varies. A lot of stuff shut down. I just heard that there's 4 terminals in the airport and 3 of them are shut down. And of course, like most of like this entire peninsula thrives on tourism. So all kinds of businesses are shut down. There's a lot of restaurants. Some of them are open for delivery, but just because there's no tourists here, there's, they can't.
No reason to open. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of sucks, but hopefully we'll get things back on track pretty soon here.
So Dan, how old are you? This is gonna be like 20 questions, dude.
What's your favorite fruit?
I think I just turned 39.
Okay. So like, what do you think? What do you think that is there like some sort of itch that you scratch that the other LP presidential nominees doesn't scratch? Like why should delegates pick you?
Because I'm the only real libertarian.
Oh, really? Okay. How
All right,
so?
bring it on. All right, let's hear it. I like the sound of this so far.
No, I mean, there's I joke about that all the time, but we actually one of my friends, Clayton Hunt, we started a website for him. Go to what is it? theonlyreallibertarian.com, and he's up there. It's the world's shortest political quiz. It's only like one question. What was the question? So
Why pick you?
well, okay, so
Why pick you? Why pick you? That was the question.
there's a few different reasons. One reason is
I just cut right to the chase, dude. This is why you're here, right?
Yeah.
Pitch
So
the case, dude.
the big thing that most libertarians miss and is that they want to stick to the echo chamber, right? They don't want to think outside the box. They're like, we hate Democrats, we hate Republicans, and it's like, okay, yeah, but if you think about it, those Democrats and the Republicans, as much as you hate them, are like we're not talking about the politicians, the voters, the people who vote for them. Those are the people who are standing in your way of getting rid of the government. Because when you go, hey, let's cut this program, it's these hundreds of millions of voters that are out there saying, no, we like that. So we need to reach them with this libertarian message. And I've actually had a lot of success with that. I've gotten Bernie Sanders and Andrew Yang people to turn around and be full libertarian. Let's get rid of the FDA.
Really?
Do you credit novelty headwear?
Yes, absolutely.
Which I've heard has actually been banned at some LP conventions.
Yes, they have censored it from their debates.
What the hell's going on there?
That seems like transphobic.
Free speech, right?
That seems transphobic, dude.
It's speech phobic. It's trans hat phobic, I guess.
Well, I mean, like if a trans person wanted to wear a hat, it would be kind of transphobic that they couldn't wear it, right?
Yeah.
I just think it just shows ignorance of the power of novelty headwear.
Okay,
Right.
okay,
And
okay. Yeah,
it's
Dan
religious
Behrman,
headwear.
Dan
I
Behrman.
mean, if I were a Pastafarian, would they tell me I couldn't wear my colander?
It's true.
Hey,
It's a fair
Dan
point.
Behrman, is it fair to say that you choose tit over ass?
I don't. Ass is that's a association of socialist. What is it? Yeah, I'm not into them.
No, it was kind of like it was a female question, like because they say like either your ass.
Oh
or
yeah, no, definitely the other.
But it was also like a joke about like taxation is theft too, so it was kind of like a little pun thing going on.
It was a
Very
good try,
little.
Matt.
I like
Very
puns.
little.
That's a little. In that 6 minutes that you were late, he got a little ripped. So
Awesome.
So have anyways. they censored your hat? Did they censor Behrman Supremes boot?
Yeah. There was okay. Some places they really didn't care, but some states, and this is the thing, this is another criticism I have of the LP, is every state wants to have their own debate, which is wonderful, but like if you look at the way the Democrats did it, they made a show out of it, and the show was like everything was connected and made one piece. So like they're on TV, it's like one Netflix show with like 10 episodes is how they
Okay,
did their
so
debates.
your slogan is Democrats do it better.
I mean, well, here's the thing. They have $1 billion and they invest that money in people who know what the hell they're doing, right? So they know how to put on a good production. And there's all these things that the libertarians, I think, are really missing that, we don't have to be lying, pandering politicians, but there is a lot to learn from
The showmanship.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, play some music when the candidates come out on the stage, right?
Like rock stars or WWE entrants.
Or some,
Right?
I want.
Well, you know what? This is where the LP needs their candidates, because the candidates are showing up to bring the rock. Like you're supposed to, like you're here to rock. Like, okay, guys, like I'd like to see I'd like to see candidates that have like their own sort of like crew that maybe has like a little like could like break into freestyle at any time, have some theme music,
Right.
like just I don't know, have a little presence, bring a little, bring a little something to the game.
And that's what Vermin did. And I mean, I absolutely hate it, but to be honest, he's doing a much better job with his boot than I am with my hat. But he's
been at it for longer though.
Well, and how could you? How could you possibly attempt to out novelty headwear?
Right.
Behrman Supreme. You're not going to do that. However, yours has an advertising slogan on it that is undeniable, understandable, and immediately direct as soon as they see it. They see the boot and they're like, well, that's interesting, but they have no idea what's going on there.
Right.
Hey, Dan, would you consider a taxation as theft strap on?
And where would you strap it to?
I mean,
strap it on.
Yeah, I mean they had the waving dildos at the last convention, so why not?
Oh yeah.
We could just put the taxation theft stickers on it.
True.
Turn them into.
I want to get back to what you were talking about earlier. You mentioned how you were able to connect with like Bernie Bros and Yang Bros, Yang Gangers,
Yang
Gangsters, Gang Gangers,
Gang Yangers.
So what is your tactic for doing that? How do you accomplish that sort of thing?
So it's really just like a basic understanding that like these are just normal people. They just like us. They have problems in their life and they're looking for solutions. Like how can I fix this problem in my life? And they go out in the world and they're like, who's going to fix my problem? And there goes Bernie Sanders. Oh, I'm going to give you free healthcare and free college education. And they're like, okay, well, that sounds cool. And so all you really have to do is say, okay, what problem are they trying to solve with this? And that's access to healthcare, access to education, or and why do people really want to go to colleges so they can have a better future, right? It's we're conditioned to think that's what we have to do after high school. And so the solution to that problem is to say, okay, look, we'll get you your healthcare. We're not going to like steal from some guy and like give it to you. Instead, we're just going to get the government out of the way. Did you know the government is the reason why your healthcare is so expensive? Did you know you could buy your insulin on the other side of the Mexican border for 1/10 of the price, but the government tells you can't bring it back because that's illegal and you're going to hurt the profits of the big pharmaceutical corporations? And then they're like, yeah. And the next thing you know, they're like, yeah, we should get rid of the FDA. It's really is like focus on the problem and solve their problem. Because when you come at them with the traditional libertarian way, which is like, yeah, we need Medicare for all, and the libertarian is like, no, screw that, you're wrong, you're a bad person, you're a commie, and you're going to go to hell. Then it's like you lost them, and they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to become a libertarian,
even though it's true.
So yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, they're not really socialists in the way that, like, they're not sitting there like Karl Marx, like, I'm going to design a system that's going to steal from us. They're just like following the lead of these politicians that tell them, oh yeah,
it's like more of like a Che Wagner approach.
Okay. Yeah, it's they're just like following someone else's lead. That's the thing. Like, when it comes to Bernie Sanders is like, yeah, I'll steal the money for you. I'll send the IRS to steal the money for you. But when it comes to the guy that's like getting his tuition paid for, it's like, yeah, it's not stealing. Bernie Sanders is giving it to me, right? So there's like there's no like any feeling of remorse on like, oh yeah, I'm spending stolen money.
Even when they understand that the money is coming from someone else, they don't care, right? It's very appealing to a young person without a lot of money to have their student debt forgiven, or to have the government pay for their health care. And it's just very, it's hard to appeal to those people because they're really in it for themselves. They want a handout, right?
Kyle, stop romanticizing statism.
Well, I don't agree
correct.
with them. I don't agree with them. I'm just saying, like,
But that's
we can't
correct.
outpromise them. It's hard to. It's like,
right,
but it's not that
If-
they want the handout for the nature of the handout per se. I think what you were trying to say there is
We're trying to catch that handy.
they want their problem solved.
right. Exactly. They have
Like,
problems.
they don't care if you have to steal from somebody to get them their college, or if you can get them their college. Like, I
Right.
mean, realistically, they're shit, hang on.
Yeah, they want something for nothing.
But there's
No, they-
often somebody else that they think should be giving it to them, whether it's
Well,
blah, blah,
there-
blah.
well, there's
some
there's
rich
an
people.
element there's an element of jealousy and envy that goes towards
Right, but
like,
there's-
oh, this
there's-
landlord should,
Right.
But
there's the
every single
landlords,
libertarian is a
but it's
socialist
also like,
too.
well, I've been paying into this my whole life, so now it's my turn to collect Social Security.
Well,
like,
yeah, there's all
Tell
kinds
Well,
of-
that's
tell
not
some
young
old
people,
person
that's-
on Social Security that they're a welfare whore. They're not gonna take kindly to it, right? Because, well, I paid
Sure, yeah.
into that my whole life.
right.
They
Yeah,
didn't.
understandably so,
Unfortunately,
right?
they paid into something. That money got spent on bombs and hookers and coke and shit, and that's gone.
That we
right?
didn't even get to have. Like, they,
Like,
yeah.
That's why we
Um,
should be able to buy our own hookers. and
so now the old people on Social Security are collecting welfare. It's like, sorry,
Right.
but you are. But nobody's going to want to hear that. But or they vote according to, well, I'm a big union guy, and the union says I got to vote for blank, so that's what I do. Nobody cares. Like, everybody's like, well, they're in it for their own interest, one way or another.
Well, here's what's interesting about, like, Bernie Sanders' plan, right? What does it do? It takes from one group of people to make sure that people who don't have a lot of money can go afford the high prices, right? It doesn't fix the high prices. It takes money from over here and sticks it in your pocket. What does that ultimately do? It keeps the prices up, which means those big evil billionaires that you hate so much are making even bigger profits, because now more people are paying even higher prices for these medications, but you don't feel it because it's free for you, right? But if you really hate those corrupt billionaires, wouldn't you want to take their profits away? Because if you got rid of these government regulations that are allowing them to protect their monopolies, not only are the prices going to come down so low that you can afford it without insurance, but those billionaires are going to stop making all that money because they no longer have those monopoly protections. And then they're like, whoa, Bernie Sanders wasn't going to do that.
They think they can control it too.
Yeah. But it's like, that's why they always demonize billionaires too. And then you tell them, like, yeah, but there are plenty of there's plenty of corrupt billionaires, but there's also plenty of billionaires who are spending all their money trying to feed impoverished nations and everything else. So yeah, it's pick and choose, punish people for their actual crimes. Don't just pick a generic group. Otherwise you might as well be saying, well, this guy of a certain race broke in and stole something, I'm going to punish that entire race by sending them all to prison. No, that doesn't make any sense. So yes, if one billionaire has a corrupt scheme that he's ripping people off, and you're going to say all billionaires should go to prison, no. But here's another thing. Like, I created this new American dream based on the foundation that, okay, so everybody's a socialist when they're in survival mode, right? Like, as complete libertarians, it's illegal to break and enter and steal people's food and other things, right? But if you're hiking through the woods and a snowstorm comes along, and your only way to survive is if you break into that empty cabin, breaking and entering, and you're stuck there for a couple days, but there's some food, you're gonna eat someone else's food, that's breaking and entering and stealing, but it's for survival, right? And when you consider that most people in America are in survival mode because they're in debt, they have no savings, they can't own land because of property taxes and everything else. The FHA has made housing ridiculously expensive. They're forced to work and work and work and live paycheck to paycheck. That is survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you're willing to steal and kill and lie and cheat and everything else. And when the politicians are, first of all, they're creating policies that are putting people in survival mode, then they're making it worse by saying, oh yeah, you're going to die if we don't pass this new Medicare program. Like, they're like using that and making it worse by creating these fears and just pushing people further down there. So it's easier for them to pass programs that lets them steal and then give, the crumbs to everybody else.
Hey, so what kind of response are you getting to the taxation is theft message from like normal people? Like, I noticed some stuff from your website, and I get, it looks like a quote from a New York Times article that says Dan Behrman leads the taxation is theft movement and has a website that he runs from Cancun, Mexico. Anyway, one sentence in, and they've already said your primary message, right? Like, but what are like regular people? They must be like, but no, it's
Right.
Or how
It's
does
a
that
mix.
go?
Some people instantly, they're like, I never really, that's, they just like totally like, yeah, I always kind of knew it, but like now I know because somebody said it. And then other people are like, no, because, and those are usually the Democrats, because like taxes are how we're going to take money from the rich and pay for these other programs. But then you start pointing out, okay, well, do you like you pay taxes, right? And most of them are like, yeah. Well, do you realize how much you're paying in taxes, all the hidden taxes? Do you like where your taxes are going? Do you like the bombs that they drop on all these foreign countries? And you start pointing, do you like the drug war that's paid for with your taxes and all these other things? And usually they're like, yeah, no, I don't really like that. And
about Donald Trump's golf outings.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't always, they don't turn into like anarchists within like a 5-minute conversation, but you do start planting seeds and you get people interested and you get those conversations going. And that's really what's important, is to get those conversations going, because if everybody is out there having the conversation, well, which is better, this evil or that evil, and nobody's talking about getting rid of evil. Well, once you start the conversation, I had this interesting conversation with this guy, Taxation is Theft. I don't really agree with him, but he had a couple interesting points. And then they start telling their friends and this is how this whole thing works. And we've been having amazing success from it.
I think it's pretty cool. Let me read a couple other, you've got some endorsements on your website that I thought were pretty impressive. Alex Forthman says, ladies and gentlemen, this man is the first politician I haven't wanted to punch in the face. David Ballantine, Dan is about the only one running for anything who I wouldn't bash. I don't know why. Brian Jensen, Dan doesn't try to sell you a pile of shit as gold. These sound legit to me. Like,
right?
I'm not going
like
to. I don't think you're the kind of person that would make up these kind of endorsements for your website like other candidates. So
awesome.
Anyway, kudos to you.
Like, could you imagine the crazy shit that Kyle Wagner would make up?
Yeah.
What would that be?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm
I don't know.
curious.
I was just making jokes, dude.
How did you get into libertarianism? Were you a Rothbard guy or a Hoppe guy or what were some of your influences?
I was a tax dodger and a traffic ticket fighter.
Nice.
So it really just kind of came from my own interest in being free and independent from government control.
So it was like natural, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did some learning along the way. I mean, I used to think, like when I was a kid, I grew up in like, California, and like a lot of people in my family, my mom, my
You grew up in
grandfather were like,
California?
yeah.
Okay. Are you into any punk rock?
Am I in or into?
Are you
Into.
into any punk
Into,
rock?
yeah.
He can't enunciate right now.
Like I can enunciate faggot. Oh shit. No.
I'm like I didn't have a band though.
Okay. So like what punk bands were you into?
Oh man. Let's see. I guess Goldfinger and Green Day. I know that's kind of like people wouldn't call that punk. A little bit of ska. Man, it's been a while since I had to answer
Less
this
Than
kind of
Jake?
question. What's that?
Yeah, like Less Than Jake, like ska.
Yes.
Operation Ivy.
Yes. Less Than
Cool.
Jake.
Yeah.
Nice.
That same old town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what was I just thinking about today? Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah.
That
That
was kind of a
yeah.
That's a very libertarian song. All I wanted was a Pepsi, and then fucking government came along and said, "No, we're going to put a sugar tax on that, and we're going to throw you in prison because you're consuming too much Pepsi.
Yeah.
It's for your own good." We decided. Yeah. Offspring? I know they're kind of like they were more punk, and then they kind of like went pop.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm a pretty big fan of the Offspring's like first 3 records. So.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah,
time we
they
got
have
a libertarian candidate that actually likes punk rock on the Punk Rock Libertarians.
And we'll admit to it and discuss it.
Yeah. Totally.
And what is it? The Misfits, like
Oh,
some of their
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. All wise selections.
Hey, so
They're
we have some questions from the Discord. So on our last episode, we had Larry Sharp, and he was talking about how he was good for down ticket candidates.
He's not into punk, is he?
I don't think so.
He doesn't act like he is.
He actually name dropped the
He did say the Ramones, yeah.
Ramones, that
Okay.
counts.
Yeah. But so anyways,
He wants to be sedated
the
by
Ramones
mandate.
rock. I want to be
Right.
sedated too. So
yeah, exactly. So do you think you're a better candidate for down ballot or down ticket, down ballot candidates?
I think so.
Why?
I mean, we've reached out. We've already built websites. In 2016, I was actually working on McAfee's campaign, and that was part of the deal was that we were going to build websites for. We don't call them down ballot, or we did back then. Now we're calling them cross ballot. But
so you were working on McAfee's campaign.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
Like, do you know anything about like when he was running for president before he actually went to the LP?
Oh, like what, as an independent?
Yeah, like when he initially started.
Oh, yeah,
running,
that's right.
Like I heard that he was talking about like workfare programs and shit.
I don't know. I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I've like heard, but apparently like the websites were taken down. So
Oh,
I
Yeah,
don't know.
you said you made a bunch of websites, right? Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
made one for Davey out in Florida.
Yeah, that's
For,
this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we're trying to get more up. It's really difficult because like the LP likes to they like to fill all the slots, which means a lot of the candidates aren't really serious, which is unfortunate. It also means that we're kind of diluting our energy. It would be much better if we took a few candidates and took, everybody who was interested in running and got them to combine their efforts. But so we've created this SWAT team, which is basically a team of candidates that we're reinforcing each other's message, but we're also sharing resources. So for example, one guy came to me while I was doing Tit Fest last weekend. Yeah. Did you guys see that?
Dude, I saw that was like your Tit Fest thing. Like,
How did I miss that?
Okay, yeah, dude,
that was amazing.
I have a theory, James Babb, but
Yes. How and what is the theory?
dude, I was just fucking with you. Okay, so dude, like Tit Fest, like you had like for one, like great name, dude. But it looked like you had like a ton of like really huge guests and stuff, and it was going all weekend. Like, tell us about this.
Yeah, we had over 40 speakers. We had 2 live streams going at the same time. The idea was to be like a convention,
dude.
like a
That
libertarian
sounds cool.
convention where there's like 2 speakers and you get to go to the room that of the speaker you want to see. So we had 2 streams going for 12 hours because everyone's in different time zones. So we started 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, not Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So 12 hours straight for 2 days in a row, 48 hours worth of live streaming. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. But while we were doing this, one of the presenters, Chrissy, got from the Chris and Jesse show. She got kicked off her internet, I think, because she was talking about Monsanto. And then we started messaging while the other speakers are going, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get this damn candidate website up." And I was like, "I'll do it right now." And she's like, "You're doing tit fest," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can put it together in 5 minutes." And she's been struggling with this for months. And so, like 5 minutes later, the candidate has a website up. All I'm waiting on is content from the candidate. And I ran into this in 2016. Like, a lot of the candidates are like, okay, yeah, well, the website's up, but let me get you the content, and it takes forever. So we have these candidates who aren't seriously motivated, whereas like me, I'm a fucking maniac. I'll write 5 articles a day and make videos and do all kinds, like I'm doing that all day, even though I have a 40-hour job. Like I maintain okay, work and then get to work on the campaign. And some of these candidates just are not, they're not ready to put in that kind of work, or they don't really know. But so that's one of the things that we're doing with the SWAT team is we're creating that training, but I'm also bringing them on my podcast to help get their name around. We're going to start working with them to book them on other podcasts. But it's like these resources and knowledge that, the party itself is not helping anybody out by much. They're doing a little bit, but they're not helping them. Like, yeah, are you building a mailing list? Go build a mailing list. Do you have a website up? Let's put the website up for you. Like when you talk about Democrats and Republicans, it's just like, I want to run. Okay, here's your campaign manager. Here's your organization. They're going to take care of everything for you. All you have to do is go wherever they tell you to go and go up there and speak. That's how they do it. But we don't have those kind of resources. So I'm trying to kind of create that as much as possible to help these cross ballot candidates. I'm not sure exactly what Larry Sharp or any of these other guys are trying to do. I know Vermin's campaign is trying to do what we did on McAfee, because he's actually got some of those people working with him. And whoever wins is probably going to be me or Vermin. And we'll probably put our efforts together on that.
And I wanted to thank you for mailing me a Taxation is Theft patch. Appreciate
absolutely. That. Would you put it on?
I haven't even decided yet. So like right now I'm just like it's one of my prized libertarian artifacts.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. So Dan, I'm just curious. Okay, rank your favorite LP presidential candidates besides yourself, 1 through 5.
1 through 5. Oh man, I can't really say. Okay.
No, you can say like who's your favorite besides yourself.
Yeah, I'm not going to say in any particular order, but I'm going to say
why you can't be honest with us, dude.
Because realistically, I think they're all awesome. They have different.
It's like asking like which is your favorite like handicapped child,
Yeah, Bourbon. What are your favorite punk bands?
I could do that.
You could do that?
Yeah, I can do it easily.
Bad example. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan. In any order. In
no particular order. Behrman Supreme, John McAfee, Adam Kokesh. Let's see.
Wait, is McAfee actually running for Libertarian?
No, yeah, he's running for a VP, right?
He's running for both.
He's running
How about Jacob Hornberger? All right.
I really like him personally, but I don't see him as a strong candidate with the right kind of message that's going to bring new people in.
Really? I mean, he's got the principles down though. Yeah,
and he'll get into a room full of libertarians and they'll like absolutely go apeshit crazy for him, and that's wonderful. But put him in what happens when you stick him in front of a room full of Democrats?
Would you loan him your hat if he gets the nomination?
Sure. I don't think he'd wear it, but
maybe I think you do have a good sense for for sort of like branding and messaging and stuff, and maybe that can rub off on some of the other candidates too.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, if that's the worst that comes out of this is somebody else wins, but they steal some of my ideas, I'd absolutely be happy. We talked about when it was earlier in the game, before Hornberger joined and before Jim Gray joined, we were all talking about how let's kind of make like a pact that whoever wins, let's do this as a team, right? We'll all support each other as actual cabinet members or however you want to call it, so that when we're going out to the media after we have this nomination, we have these surrogates kind of going around saying, oh yeah, I'm going to be in charge of the IRS and I'm going to fire everybody on day one. You know, like, and then, you know, we get our foot in the door at multiple media outlets instead of just having one person. And we're just doing more that way. I'm not sure that some of the new guys are going to be into that kind of thing. Hornberger might. I don't think Jim Gray is. I've got a couple issues with him. He's got some statey kind of things he's into.
He wanted certain members of the show arrested, but
I think
other than that, he's super nice guy.
Yeah, no, I totally love him.
I think he called for James Babb's arrest, dude.
I know, but I still like him.
I
don't hold. You know what? So many people have said that I can't hold it against him.
We haven't said it.
I mean, he came to me in California when I was wearing the big hat, and he said, "Oh my God, that's so amazing! I'm so glad you're out here doing that. I absolutely hate taxes." He's like, "Our future generations are like, my grandchildren are being forced into a world of debt as they grow up that they never, you know, they never even spent." And but then he calls for this UBI, which negative income tax, but it's a UBI.
He's not calling for UBI. He's talking for negative income tax.
It's the same thing.
You can stick
it's not the same thing.
I looked it up. It's the same
flour in an
thing.
asshole, but you can't call it a vase.
Wait a minute. I want to know the difference,
Hold on.
Matt.
Fake news.
A negative
What's the
income tax
difference,
is
Matt?
essentially a gradated. It's like a gradated UBI, wherein whatever amount of money you make, you get a different level of UBI, but it's still UBI. It's still a monthly check that you're getting based on your income.
How is that not UBI, Matt?
Matt's just being
It's just a
contrarian.
different name.
I'm just being contrarian. Like,
Oh,
seriously.
okay.
It's
All right,
like-
great. All right, just because
It-
I
it's
thought it
not
was the same too, but other people thought there was some kind of like, no, it's not the same. And
It's
I
not
don't
the
know.
same.
It's
It's
a
not the
version.
same.
It all
because-
sounds like
It's not the
commie
same.
bullshit to
It's-
me,
it's-
so
it's
I don't
very
even.
similar.
It's not a tax. It's a monthly
both-
civilized society fee.
Like, I think it's pretty safe to say that both fall under the umbrella of commie bullshit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't worry about the minute, the details.
Call it whatever the fuck you want. Yeah.
I do agree. It's not. I mean, it's not a good idea. I agree with you on that. So
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you so much, Kyle.
So we have another question, also from Derek, and he's asking. So there are anarchists out there that say that even participating in the political system is, a violation of the NAP or, consenting to the system. How do you respond to accusations like that?
Well, I disagree. I can see. I mean, if you're voting for the lesser of two evils, then of course. If you're voting for somebody who wants to end every single bit of oppression, you're basically saying, no, we want to insert somebody into your corrupt system that's going to stop all that. And if that person turns out to be a liar and doesn't do that, well, then you got screwed. So that's not really your fault for supporting that person. Although I guess it could be argued like, yeah, you can't trust politicians and you should have learned by now that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, here's what I would say. I would say, because it's I would say it's like, who doesn't want to be more free?
Right. Well, I'm sure I could find some people.
Voters.
Who doesn't want to be more free?
I'll trade in some of that freedom for a couple of free things. Yeah, that's. But yeah, like the participation.
Jared's always talking about freedom for shekels, right, Jared?
Never.
For shizzles.
For shizzles.
I see it like this. If okay, let's say there's a tank on its way to your village and it's going to totally destroy your village, and you run over to the tank and you can't shoot at it because it's armored. So you climb up on top of it, you rip the door open, you jump in, you throw everybody out, and now you drive the tank away in a different direction so it doesn't go to your village. Are you supporting that tank because you decided to become a part of it?
Right.
Do you really think you could
good...
commandeer the government like a tank? I mean,
no.
It sounds like a risky maneuver, and you've got a good chance of getting run over by the tank before you get there.
Yeah, and that's a risk I'm willing to take. But at the same time, this is what's really interesting, because this is what I say about libertarian philosophy. This is what a lot of the other candidates will miss, is you can't just convince enough people that like you're going to be the greatest leader of the of the world, and they're going to stick you in the White House, and then you're going to be like, okay, now it's time to end everything. That's not going to happen unless either you lie to them to get into that position, which is a NAP violation, or unless you convince everybody that we should get rid of the government. And when they want you to go in there, then you can just sign off on the paperwork and be like, okay, guys, go home. That's it. It's over. But that's not going to happen until people change their minds. And when you're running as a president to say that, because this is where people think like, why are you voting for a president, right? Oh, somebody who's gonna execute the laws of the Constitution. No, that's not why people vote. They vote because they want somebody to come along and solve their problems that they don't know how to solve. Big problems in their life they don't know how to solve, right? That's not what the system was designed for you to vote for, but that's why people are voting. And so if you come up there because we want to solve everybody's problem by saying, hey guys, if we get rid of this government thing, and all the problems that it's created are going to go away. And when they start listening to like, okay, so where do they go shopping, right? Like if you're going to sell something to somebody if you have a video game and people go shopping for video games, where are you going to sell it? You're going to go to the store where they have the video games and sell it there, right? So if you're selling a solution to everybody's problems, are you just going to stand out on the corner and say, I got free solutions here? Or are you going to go to where they go shopping, which is the national debate stage? Or, you know, the political arena of politicians arguing over shit. So if you get into that stage, which is the shop where people go looking for their solutions to their life problems, and you get in there and say, hey, actually, your problems were created by these other guys and all these plans that they've come up with, then you start to change the minds of the people to say, yeah, you know what? I should stop shopping here. And then when everybody starts like, yeah, we're done with this government thing, and you have enough people to say that, that's when the government starts shrinking. But the way it is right now, the reason we have government is not because we've got a handful of elites in Washington who are like, yeah, let's keep growing this thing. We have a big government because we have hundreds of millions of Americans who are willing to accept, yeah, this guy's probably lying to me, but I'll buy it. Sounds great. We fix that problem and big government goes away. That's the root.
Hey,
Yeah,
Dan.
makes complete sense.
Dan, question. So you run the Taxation is Theft Facebook page, correct?
Mm-hmm. The Taxation is Theft 2.
What happened to the first one? Did it get
it's
zucked?
taken by some guy. I think it's a conspiracy theory. Like it's got like some really like deep state kind of like, you know, the eyeball with the triangle thing.
QAnon
It got
type shit.
taxed.
So, like when did you start this page?
2-3 years ago.
Nice.
I
Like,
just realized what shirt I'm wearing, just so you guys know, just so you can get the full picture.
Except California.
what does it say?
Yeah,
says-
it
it says-
starts off kind of status and it gets kind of awesome.
Yeah.
You had me in the
Except
first
California.
half.
Fuck California. I can say that because I grew up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They are extremely controlling out there. I don't know what it is, but they micromanage everything. You know, I always hear the construction regulations are very heavy. The traffic is terrible. Their management of roads is terrible. But
They have
you'll buy a
horrible
lawnmower and it'll say this is illegal everywhere except California. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I have I bought a gun in Texas and it said that on the box. Because it had like I think it had a 13 round mag. So of course that's illegal in California.
Are any guns illegal in California? Like
Yeah, actually a lot of them. I've got a friend who's like, he's a nut. Like he's got SBRs and like he's got a whole collection of like all kinds of crazy shit that you would think you couldn't get, but he's got, you know, he knows all the loopholes and all the paperwork and everything you have to do. But all of his magazines have like rivets in them or whatever because you can't have more than 10 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. I think for the magazines in California, you need like a key to like take them out of the gun or some sort of tool.
Oh yeah, the bullet button. Yeah, that's so ridiculous. So they made it's supposed to be a hole that you're supposed to push with a bullet. So like these other guys, these fucking geniuses came up with this little magnet that sticks right on that button. So when you want to go actually use your gun, now you have a button, but then when you pack it up in your car, you take the button off and it's just a little magnet. So you don't have to do all that. You just have like a regular button.
Cool.
Those are banned too, but you know.
This
Sticking
would
on
be
your
like the
keychain,
state
whatever.
motto: ban everything.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah. So I was saying like how long have you been into like liberty activism yourself?
first time I ran for office was 2014. For the Texas House. That's probably that's right around when I got involved with the Libertarian Party.
So what, you were doing other stuff before that or what?
Not really. I kind of wanted to do a documentary on how like well, since I was already fighting traffic tickets, and I found some really good ways around it. I think I already got rid of my driver's license at that point and stopped
Wait,
registering
you
cars.
don't have a driver's license right now?
No, I haven't had one in like 12 something years.
Wow. Tell us about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell us
So
about this, dude.
it's basically smoke and mirrors the way that they do this, right? Like, the driver's licenses, vehicle registration, income tax, and property tax are all technically unconstitutional. So the way that they get everybody to pay them is through like getting them to sign up for contracts and all kinds of like coercion and everything else, right? And propaganda. So if people believe that they have to have something or pay something, then they will, out of fear of what's going to happen. But what I started like hearing some, because I was kind of into some of these. I was like, this is probably where this started. I was at the Trump Academy thing, like where they had like free classes on, we'll teach you how to be a millionaire. And I was like, okay. So I went for free. And then like all these classes, these guys, it was kind of like tit fest. Like people were teaching different things on different subjects and it was all free. And one of them was on like how to reduce your tax liability. And so this guy was up there saying like, yeah, so you can deduct this and this and this and this and money offshore. And then this grumpy old guy with a cane, he got up and he yelled, taxes are unconstitutional. And he walked out of there. And I was like, okay, fuck the rest of this thing. I'm going to go home and Google that right now. So I went down that rabbit hole and I found Sovereign Citizens. I found like all these other groups that are like, one of them is called like, what is it? Family something, Family Guardian. It is a really interesting website with a lot of this kind of stuff. And I was like, some of this sounds interesting. Some of it sounds plausible, but some of it sounds like total bullshit. So I was like, okay, I want to make a documentary and figure all this out. And what actually happened was I started doing the documentary and I started like experimenting. And when I found out how much of that was actually true, I just got so depressed I couldn't finish the documentary. And we're talking about fake courts and like the income tax and the fraud of the IRS and all this other stuff. And I tested it and I proved it to be true. So like I've gotten traffic tickets and, they send me letters like, hey, you got to pay up. And I'll send them letters back like, you guys are harassing me. And if you don't quit it, I'm going to sue you. And then I listed a couple federal laws and I never heard from him again. And then I did this on a parking ticket. And then like I actually on one parking ticket, I was a little unsure about. So I actually sent them, it was for like an expired meter. And it was, like $50. And I sent them like $2 in cash in the mail. And I said, this is because I didn't put any quarters in the meter. Here's a couple bucks. That's more than I would have had to pay. If you accept this money, then you have to get rid of this ticket. If you don't accept this money, you have to send it back. And then I'm going to go fight that ticket. And they didn't want to send it back. So they got rid of the ticket. Because
clever.
Yeah,
you bet on their laziness.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was that or if it was just like the other things that I said in there, like, I have no contractual obligation with you. I have no obligation to pay this. You're going to have to sue me in court. You're going to have to get an actual judge. And like I always specify that it has to be a duly elected judge.
And you know what? They had $2. Okay.
Yeah.
They got $2.
Someone
like
stuck it in
any
their
good
pocket.
Ferengi knows, once you have their money, you never give it back.
Yeah.
Aside from parking tickets, have you not also been paying federal income tax?
Off and on. I've gotten away with it for a few years. Sometimes they come and raid my bank account. But for the most part, yeah, I'm definitely at a net positive right now. And as I learn more about how this works, I'm preparing to make sure that the next time they come around, that's not going to happen. But yeah, and this goes back to Titfest. I had a couple amazing speakers on there, 3 of them actually. Joe Bannister, who's the ex IRS agent who hasn't paid income taxes in over 20 years, and he quit because he heard on the radio some crazy guy saying there's no law that says you have to pay income tax. So he did his research and he found out it was true.
But what about Irwin Schiff? What happened with him?
He so he went to prison.
Yeah.
Because
died in prison.
He died in prison.
Yeah, unfortunately. So he actually, and this is how I like to explain this, right? The first time anybody shot a rocket into space with people on it, it exploded and a lot of people died. Now we shoot rockets into space all the time. They take people up, they take equipment up, and like the rate of failure is very, very low. Did the laws of physics change? No. But now they understand the science, right? And so now people understand the science of how the IRS works better, and they're able to not pay it. Whereas when Irwin was down this trail, he started back in the 70s where there wasn't the internet, there wasn't, search engines where you could search through the words of the law. You had to actually get these like tens of thousands of pages of IRS code and filter through it and try to figure out what's what. And so it's taken like 30, 40, 50 years for people really to get a crystal clear understanding of what this entire system is and how to just completely be gone with it.
Gotcha. So information and understanding of the tax code is improved enough where where people can get away with it.
Yeah. So it's really, there's Dave Champion, who also spoke at Tit Fest. He's got a really awesome book called Shattering the Myths, which goes through and explains it really well. I like to send people to section 3402C, which is the law that requires withholding. And it says, anybody who this is the entire law. If you go to your employer, your human resources, and you ask them what's the law on withholding, they'll send you the 3402 C, if they even know what they're talking about. And it says any employee who receives money has to have a tax withheld. And then you say, okay, but then you go to 3401, where it defines an employee, and it defines an employee as a person who works for an employer, right? You're not an employee unless you're working for an employer. This is very important because these are legal terms, not regular words. Like when we say employee, this is a very specific meaning. An employee is only someone who works for an employer, which is then defined a couple sentences down. An employer is a federal, state, or government agency or corporation, blah, 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 blah. So if you're not working for the government, they don't have to withhold your taxes.
Dan, we're actually running out of time because Jared's
I'm long-winded. Sorry.
No, you're good, man.
Dude, it's all good.
I've got to do delegate. I'm a delegate, so I got to do delegate shit at 9. So, but yeah.
Give me your token, man.
All right.
We'll see. He's asking for the sale. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't blame him, dude. I can't blame him.
Or else I will send the IRS your way. No, I'm kidding. I'll get rid of the IRS for you.
I appreciate that.
Dude, Dan, is there anything you want to plug while you're on here?
Yeah, I'll plug taxationistheft.cards, taxationistheftfest.com, and of course Behrman2020.com. Go check out all those websites. Really awesome stuff. One thing I like to always end with is we are not government property. Just remember that. Make it your mantra. Say it every morning when you wake up. We are not government property. Say it to yourself. I am free. Because when you say you are free and you understand you are free in your mind, then you erase all of the shackles they have built with all their propaganda. You understand you are free. You understand there are tyrants and criminals out there working for organized crime gangs that will do certain things to you if they don't like what you do. But as long as you can understand in your mind you are free and they are the ones who are criminals, then we'll be a lot closer towards our goals of freedom.
Fuck
Right
yeah.
on.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So this podcast is brought to you in part by Conversations About Freedom podcast, hosted by Moral Bob. We have t-shirts over at libertariancountry.com. If you type in the code PRL, you'll receive a 10% discount. If you spend $50 or more and you type in the code PRL2, you'll receive a 20% discount. Until next time, live free
Or die.
Oh, and also, I think we're going to do an Anarchy Bar right now. So if you guys want to jump in on Anarchy Bar, and if Dan Behrman wants to hang out, you're welcome as well.